What's up, everybody? Hello, everyone there on the internet. Should we talk about Nvidia today? Who wants to talk about Nvidia? Let us know in the chat if we need to keep talking about Nvidia. So welcome to the Brain Trust episode 11. Sami Abusada is serving a 1-week suspension for giving too many trade ideas, but he will be back next week. Sorry, Sami, if you're watching this, we love you. Okay, how is everybody doing out there? Cyril wants to hear about AMD. I don't know what's wrong with you, Cyril, but we can get to that. So we hope everybody's doing well out there. Fun times in the market. The Trump rally just keeps on raging. We're going to talk about that and a whole bunch of other stuff. But the big question is, obviously, is Nvidia back? Now, so JR, last week you predicted a biblical rally for Nvidia. So is it going to go like, in the words of Marcellus Wallace, is it about to get medieval on us?
Oh my goodness, a Pulp Fiction reference this early in the morning. Look, it looked good for the reasons I mentioned. Can I share my screen real quick?
Of course.
Okay. So, we had everything we were looking for, right? A beautiful little regression channel right there. We had anchored VWAP confirmation, off the September 11 breakaway gap, right to the bottom there, to the bottom of the play, and a very accommodating, volume profile. If you're looking at the volume price analysis of Nvidia, we're right at the bottom of a value area within a very clearly strong uptrend. So technically, the technical balance was expected. The question is, okay, what are we going to do into this distribution top? You have some overhead supply here. It's a very strong P-shaped profile with a distributive upthrust on the November 21st failed breakout. So you've got a 147.5 is now in play. The question is, how much time are we going to spend absorbing that potential overhead supply? So that's really the question on the trade. I'm letting it work, and we'll see what happens.
Okay, but do you still like it up here?
Yeah, I think it looks great.
Okay, so you floated the idea of a $200 target. That still sound good to you?
Yeah, I mean, you gotta accept the price cycle, right? So, well, we had the strong August shakeout, right? A strong 2-wave corrective that gave you a B pivot on the new channel, and we've been phase E of the price cycle trending higher. We've got to get through the overhead supply zone around 147.50, 148, and then I expect some absorption through the level, and then we're going to be looking for a measured move leg to the top of the channel around 170.60 or so. So that would be the next shorter term interim target.
Okay, could you comment on AMD quickly, since our friend Cyril in the audience is asking about AMD?
Yeah, so AMD I bought on Monday. So we had a little shake out of this prior power pivot there at 133.73. We bought it on Monday around 138.70, something like that, with a target being the daily 21. And now you're getting a kind of a bullish consolidation. And what I was looking for was like a higher pivot low on the 4-hour chart or the daily chart. So if we manage to take out 143.50 or so, okay, maybe there's a chance we see 150 and a half. But this is a very different type of chart, right? This and a much more technical play. AMD is not moving like Nvidia. They're very different charts.
Okay, I want to switch gears a little bit. So I want to ask Derrick, because I just saw news about Robinhood. So they opened up about 400,000 new accounts in November. Their crypto trading levels are through the roof. Volume is up like 170%. Do you see any froth out there? Because we know the last time Robinhood was growing out of control was like early 2021.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, so before, I'm happy to jump into that. got to add on a little bit on the semiconductor stuff that JR was just talking about super quickly. So first of all, this is the power of teamwork and working with a good team, because it was last Wednesday when we were live with you, Mike, that JR and I were both buying Nvidia down there around that 132 area and looking for that thing to round up. And then we were discussing if this thing can get through 140, 150 to 142, that's the area where it could take another leg up. And then that's literally what's happening today. So that's just phenomenal teamwork, that JR and I can have the same idea, even though we actually arrive at that idea in slightly different ways. It's the thought process leads to the same thing, and that's why teamwork is so great. I'm also long AMD right now, so I can comment on it just because I'm in it. This thing is attempting to break a downtrend right now, as things been in a series of lower highs and lower lows since early October, when it kind of peaked out up there. And this is the first time now where we kind of got an equal low back on November 27th, which kind of challenges that downtrend. But now we're attempting to break up beyond that pivot. Definitely, like JR said, a little bit of a different trade than Nvidia, but I'm long. And once again, by coincidence, maybe not, JR and I seem to have a similar target on this. I'm looking for a move to 150-ish on AMD. Popping over now to the Throff in this market. When you look at Robinhood, when you look at Bitcoin, when you look at the Wall Street Bets community and the things that they're saying, it seems like, and I noted it at a certain point today, a lot of these stocks are just kind of starting to get a little crazy. You know, if you look at like, I don't know, SOUN is legging up again today. This thing was a $5 stock at the beginning of November. Now it's a $10 stock here at the beginning of December. Robinhood's another one. We all know what happened with MSTR somewhat recently when that peaked out, but there's plenty of other names that seem to be just accelerating and going crazy, whether it's this UMAC, UMAC, was shortened this one a few days ago on that kind of parabolic day 4 top, or yesterday we were trading, I keep forgetting the symbol, some other name where Donald Trump Jr. got added to the board of directors and the stock went absolutely berserk. And I was on the long side on that one because it was still a day 1 on the move. And that worked out really well. So ESQH, that is the one. So, you know, trading that one long through $4 early pre-market yesterday, and then gave a secondary move into the afternoon, which was also great. So, you know, it's not quite like it was at the end of 2020, early 2021, but there's some symptoms out there that we're starting to move a little crazy with some of these stocks. You know, the difference is that interest rates are at whatever 4.5% Fed funds instead of 0% Fed funds like they were at the end of 2020, early 2021. So it's something that's noticeable. I think it's a symptom that you're getting closer to an end of a move than the beginning of a move. I don't think that we're going to turn into the full-on fury of what we saw in the beginning of 2021. But while the price action is here and while it lasts, I'm sure I'm speaking for both JR and myself. This is the price action that traders live for. This is great. Every single day, there's something out there, symbols I've never even heard of that I'm trading, because these things are sometimes moving hundreds of percent at a time, and I can be long, I can be short, I can get the borrow, and it's turning into a great environment. You know, talking about Robinhood specifically, Robinhood's another one that's been on a real run. You know, when I log in and I look at this like Wall Street Bets community and see what they're saying, they're all in now on every single altcoin that exists, all this stuff. And, you know, I've said it in the past. I think at a certain point when those people start to overly spread themselves out, you know, at first when it's, you know, just GameStop and just AMC and just Bed Bath & Beyond running, you can have the whole community get together and those things can go nuts. But then once they start getting too greedy and they say, well, how about this name and how about this name and how about this name? And now there's 70 names instead of 3, then that money gets spread out. You don't get those same moves in the same way. And then the whole thing eventually kind of collapses in on itself. We're not there yet, I don't think. These moves are still going. And as long as the technical trades are there, we got to take them. But yeah, it's been a phenomenal trading environment.
Yeah, it's been very casual and promiscuous. Like just to buttress Derrick's point, it's every day people are throwing tickers at me, and I'm like, who the hell are these people? Okay, here's your buy, stop, target, and stop, and a lot of these are working. You know, it's wild.
Yes. So JR, I'll flip it over to you in a bit of a different way. So you've been very bullish on the Trump trade on the action post Trump, but I'm seeing like dozens of stocks that are up like 50, 100% since the election over the last month. Like, do you think that too much good news is getting priced in at this point?
Obviously, when the fear greed index starts to go insane, I'm the first guy to say, okay, guys, we need to start maybe trading a little bit more defensively. We need to start looking at the price to earnings ratio on the S&Ps. But this is a different market, in my opinion. A different thing is happening now. I'm not a fundamental analyst, and I'm not Tom Lee, and my job isn't to make crazy calls. But I recognize, based on the price action and the charts, that this is a different thing. A different thing is happening now, and I'm recognizing it and letting the trades just work.
Okay. Are you saying this time it's different?
A little bit.
We're never supposed
it's
to
the
say
trader's
that.
equivalent of it's not you, it's me. Yes, I just said it.
Yeah, it's funny. I think we might have to do a show just on like trading cliches, because I think like this year every cliche is being broken in one way or another. Okay, all right. Let's move on. Okay, so obviously we're seeing amazing action in all these like mid caps, especially anything related to money, these little finance stocks. I don't even know I don't even know what topic to talk about next. Let's talk about let's go back to Tesla. Okay, so this is another funny thing I'm noticing, that it seems like Elon Musk's $56 billion pay package, it got turned down by the court because like there's that guy with like 9 shares who's suing. And everybody is in favor of it, though. It seems like in the public, everybody's like, fine, give him $56 billion. So JR, you've talked a lot about Tesla. Wait, Derrick, you're giving thumbs down to $56 billion for Elon? Why?
What does this guy need $56 billion for? This is ridiculous. This is so stupid. Yeah. He what he should do is come out and say, I'll tell you what, if you give me the $56 billion, I'll donate the entire thing to charity. And then you know what? I say, give it to him. But it's just unnecessary. For what? Does he even work at Tesla anymore? I mean, the guy is in charge of like 7 businesses and the Department of Government Efficiency and all this other stuff. I don't think he needs it.
Does need? I mean, I just think it's funny how nobody's objecting. At least Derrick is the conscientious objector. I mean, JR,
you made a deal with the board. Pay the man,
I mean, I think
but he owns the board. If that board, the board is so handicuffed at Tesla, it's the ultimate group of yes man for anything that guy says or wants, which to be fair has actually worked out for Tesla. But who's overseeing him when he says something that borderlines an SEC violation on Twitter?
Borderlines. You're being very generous.
Exactly. I'm being generous. Where's the board of directors to say, hey, Elon, you can't say we have funding secured at $420 when we actually don't? And where is the SEC to further investigate that stuff? Which
Elon, can you not get high on a crack pipe on the Joe Rogan podcast?
Okay, you see, now the thing is, the key word here is borderline, and a very good lawyer can do a lot with the word borderline.
Here's what I'll say. I think it was a uniquely ballsy move of Elon to forego compensation and say, pay me if I hit a 10x milestone. I think that was unusually courageous of him. It was a deal they made, and I think they should honor it. That being said, I could care less.
All right, what do you think of the stock here?
So we came super close to that big gamma switch at 360, that is the level to watch. I told my room, look, Tesla's going to be a hot mess until we clear 361.50 and really show signs of price acceptance through the level. Until then, it's just going to be shenanigans, and you're going to be banging your head against a bunch of robots. And if that's your thing, that's great. But that's really where the auction gets interesting for me. And 330 on the lows.
360 is 100% the level, and it's building out a beautiful bullish wedge pattern into that 360. And we'll see if that trade succeeds or not. But I said the exact same thing in my morning meeting to my team this morning. I was like, here, Tesla 351. I don't have any interest in doing anything with the stock at this price. It's kind of no man's land here. Let's see if this thing can get through 360, which could be very actionable. Or if it fails to, at a certain point, you could get a failed move on this pattern, and then it rolls down. But you kind of only think that you get a failure on Tesla if all of these stocks that have been going a little bit crazy start to come down a little bit also. If you begin to lose an APP, which has gone mad, or you begin to lose a Palantir, which legged up massively again with an insane underlying bid to it. I think if you lose Tesla, you kind of lose maybe even Bitcoin also. It's another one. This Bitcoin chart, I'm surprised we haven't gotten to this yet, because we talk about it every damn time, as much as I hate it. This Bitcoin chart's interesting with this wedge that it's building out, because there's kind of a little bit of a lower high there. And it's interesting because everyone's talking about crypto. Everyone's talking about crypto. And Michael Saylor bought how many $1 billion worth of Bitcoin over the course of like the last week or so, yet the price didn't actually move up over the course of him buying. Is really interesting to me, that maybe this is actually getting set for a little bit of a break lower on max hype.
Yeah, I don't think we're still trying to find somebody that can explain MicroStrategy to us, because it seems absolutely batshit crazy.
It's a CIA front, Michael.
It's a very effective one, if that. But I mean, the thing with MicroStrategy, just wonders why not just buy like IBIT calls rather than all the craziness and whack. Because I feel like MicroStrategy is going to be trading at $10 at some point. It might go to 2,000 before that, but it just seems like a bubble creation.
I think that we saw that after the purchases he just did at like $95,000, that his average price overall is like $58,000. We're very, very far away from $58,000, but it becomes pretty interesting if for some reason, I'm not calling for this, but Bitcoin's been known to sell off 80%. It's happened many times. You get another really big sell down at some point in the future that gets it below his average price, especially if he keeps averaging up more and more and more. That's where things could potentially become actually really interesting for MSTR.
Yeah. You can I actually share my chart real quick?
Sure.
So this is just really basic volume price analysis. You see here a really high volume node on the dip to 92.5. Okay, and look how structure really thins out all the way to 76,000. Okay, if you have a nasty two-wave corrective that fails to hold at the bottom of the value area here, okay, you're gonna see Bitcoin jump out the window all the way back to 76,000. Okay, potentially. Look how thin the structure is right here, volumetrically speaking. Okay, so you could potentially see that. But in terms of context structure here, this is for now highly reaccumulative. You had your buying climax retest. You're consolidating between the top of value and point of control in terms of the volume. The thing we don't want to see is it really crack bottom of the value area there, and we don't want to see this crack and fail to reinsert itself into the balance range. If that happens, it's going to get really nasty.
Like on back to the MicroStrategy question, like, where do you guys think this would be without Michael Saylor? Because it seems like, aside from Elon, he's like the icon right now.
I'm not sure. I'm in Bitcoin because it was a technically sound and good idea, and I wanted some Trump victory exposure. But like I don't really follow the stuff enough. You know what I mean? I'm not sure. I'm not sure how important he is to the whole Bitcoin rally. To me, it seemed more like okay, maybe we see the dollar really come in post Trump victory. Okay, and with a dollar coming in hard, you could see some really significant Bitcoin inflows into a domestic administration that's much more crypto friendly. That was my thinking. Whether Elon and Michael Saylor have the Big Macs on Mars is beyond my purview. I don't understand that whole clique. I have zero patience for this stuff in general. So
it does make things fun, but I've also noticed that a lot of like the crypto scammers are coming. They're coming out of the woodwork again. People are even starting to talk about NFTs, which is the most hilarious thing on earth.
You don't want to buy a picture of a monkey for $8 million, Michael?
I think you got to be getting close when you got a guy who buys a banana off a wall for millions of dollars and then just eats it. I mean, talk about money that'd be better off going to charity. Holy cow!
All right, so I'm gonna give you let everybody in on a little internal topic at T3 I've started. So I've been telling the parental units here that we should be accepting Bitcoin as payment. So if you want to subscribe to Derrick's room or JR's room or take courses or whatever, like I think people should be able to pay with Bitcoin.
I'm opting out on that. You can buy Sammy's room with Bitcoin. I want cold hard American dollars.
What? All right, Derrick. I admire Derrick's principles. Derrick's a man of integrity and honor. Okay, so I'm going to just throw this out to the audience. Should T3 Live let you pay with Bitcoin? Yeah, Derrick doesn't want your damn Bitcoin, so he's no good to you. But type a yes or no in the chat. Let us know.
I think we should accept barbecue and beef jerky. I would be all down for that. Maybe rib roast.
I'll take that. I'll definitely take that. Ski passes for sure. Ski passes.
Hey, there you go. Icon passes don't pay for themselves, Derrick. Oh man.
Yeah, Scoop C he's suggesting tacos. Derrick accepts Dogecoin. You already can with Apple Pay. We need to look into that. Obviously, lots of people flush with Bitcoin. Yeah, but I mean, we are thinking about things like Bitcoin and barbecue and tacos and stuff. Like, if as long as we can resell it, we will absolutely consider it. Yeah, I mean, we have. So I mean, Derrick, you've been saying that like there's no real use case for Bitcoin, but if we use it, we would be creating the use case. So by definition, you would have to start liking it.
I think that management here at T3 would intelligently say that we don't want to deal with the volatility risk of crypto or the transaction costs to the firm of having to liquidate it when somebody buys somebody's room with it.
It is that's what I would making money generally. So
I can talk to these people. I know what they need to hear. And I would argue that we should hold it all the way. No, I don't. Yeah, I don't think it would be wise to carry like Bitcoin on the balance sheet as like a speculative investment. I think that's where.
Or maybe I have no idea what I'm talking about. We should just turn T3 Live into the next MSTR. We only accept Bitcoin. That's on the balance sheet. We have T3 Live go public, but we don't even have like a business anymore. We fire JR, we fire Sammy, fire me. We don't need us anymore. We already got the crypto. We'll just have some like fake trading education business in the background.
A bot.
We could listen. There's like a Bank of America right by our office. I can go down and say I want to borrow money to buy Bitcoin. Like, what can you do for me? Look,
they are not going to give you that.
Yeah, I know.
By the way, I just want to say this is what happens when Sammy doesn't show up to these things. It just goes off the freaking rail.
I blame myself.
Sammy, come back.
Yeah, we're gonna have Sammy will be back next week to restore some order.
Thank
because
God.
This one went completely off the rails. I'll take the blame for this because I'm just a little like dizzy today. Keyboard Warrior says, who owns T3? Don't ask questions like that. You don't need to know the answer to that. Dark and shadowy forces.
The Illuminati, obviously.
Sean Hendelman owns T3. I don't think that's okay.
He's in the office today. I'm going to go terrorize him and say we need to. I want to get paid in Bitcoin. Was it Eric? Oh yeah, Eric Adams, the mayor of New York City. He was out bragging today about how he owns Bitcoin and how nobody should be laughing at him.
He's got bigger problems, bro.
True. Okay. All right. Final thoughts. Let's talk ideas. So, Derrick, I know you said you like AMD. I know you're in Baba. Anything else you like here?
So I know you want that magic stock idea, that magic one stock idea, but the way that I approach markets is big picture down to small picture. I take a top-down approach. I start with the S&P, the NASDAQ, the Russell. I have rules for how I understand technical analysis, and I have rules for how I understand extension. I am still bullish on this market. I do have some signals that I'm looking for, some things that would tell me to take a step back. Like if we saw VVIX get under 80, I might start getting a little bit nervous that we're getting closer to an end than a beginning in the short run. I'm paying attention to see if the market overly extends to the upside. The Qs are starting to get a little bit close on that. This is a big day 4 to the upside. We aren't quite at my metric of extreme upside extension in the Qs, which is where I sometimes like to build in the other direction, especially if it's acting as a hedge on longs. But we're getting close. If the Qs could rip another $1 or so from where they are today, that would actually be the area where I might consider beginning to build into a short in the Qs, keeping in mind that I've got 25 longs still on right now as well, or at least start being a little bit less aggressive on those longs at the same time. But big picture down to small picture, while there's some pockets that are getting a little bit out of control, some pockets like these Qs that are starting to approach more extreme upside extension, I am still very broadly a bull. There's a forced underlying bid in this market that I think is not going to be stopping anytime soon. There is an underlying bid that comes from corporate buybacks, that the open window of the biggest buyback period of the year lasts through December 20th per Goldman Sachs models. And then once you get into that December 20th area, that drops off, but you go into the true Santa Claus rally time of the year. Then you get the January effect, where after a strong year, and we're having a strong year, there tends to be a very strong January effect those first 2 weeks of January. The realized volatility has gotten so low in the S&P, and I keep calling for an upside grind in the S&P. We're having this beautiful upside grind in the S&P, but guess what? We never really have days that are up more than 0.5%. Yet every day we're positive. It's never more than 0.5%. There's huge dispersion under the surface, which is actually also part of bullish rotation. The IWM goes, then the Qs go, then the IWM goes, then the Qs go. That's what we're seeing right now. So low realized vol creates a further underlying bid that comes from systematic vol control funds that are also buying up this market. Everybody's buying up this market. So it's too early, I think, still at this point to be a contrarian, though. Like JR was saying earlier, at a certain point, we might have to start paying attention to that fear greed index, or if I start seeing that positioning in the market really becomes extreme from the funds and the systematic funds, that is also a signal for me to sometimes go the other way. Right now, everything points to being bullish. So just find me a good chart and I'll buy it. That's where my head's at. Find me any good chart, I'll buy it. As long as I'm not chasing extension and as long as the overall risk on my portfolio is appropriate, which the only reason I didn't keep Nvidia as a swing trade when JR and I were buying it last Wednesday was because I had like 34 other longs at the same time. And just from a risk management perspective, that 35th swing long is just a little bit too much for me in case an overnight disaster occurs. So the big picture right now is telling me, let me buy every beautiful setup that I can find. This is where I wish Sammy was here, because Sammy would give me 30 beautiful buy setups, and I would say, all right, I'm willing to buy all 30 of them as long as they're within my risk parameters and I'm not, starting to get a little bit ridiculously heavy. So show me that chart pattern. I like it. AMD we talked about already. I like I like it. A little bit of a contrarian play still is those Chinese names, because they're not actually a beautiful chart that's at all-time highs like everything else. But I like them, especially if the dollar can continue to kind of weaken out a little bit. And I think that I think near-term highs in the dollar are peaked basically at this point, and we're seeing another interesting green to red day on the dollar even right now as we're talking. So I think you can look at China still, you can look at AMD still, but then you got other ones like this. Maybe not a great example because they report earnings tomorrow, but UPath, PATH. I don't know if you want me to just show my screen.
Sure.
Boom. Like all these names are starting to go. Like this UPath, great breakout through 14, great secondary breakout today through this like 1450 to 1480 area. I liquidated my position today because it's right in front of earnings. But these are the types of setups that are still out there that are looking so phenomenal right now. Or another one that I'm in is this Unity Software. Look at this move. Insane move, extended itself, corrected. Secondary breakout today, because all these software names are just absolutely on a tear right now. Again, if you're buying 26.45 right now as we're having this conversation, you're late on the trade. I'm not saying to buy it here, but this is what I'm talking about. Find me these patterns, get me involved, or maybe one that's very different, just because I'm trying to come up with some things that haven't actually triggered and gone yet. Like here's some interesting weakness in Intel ever since they announced that there's going to be a CEO change, but this is actually weakening out into some support with a market that's really strong. So, maybe you can take a stab at like an Intel into a support level, just because it's, one of the few stocks that hasn't gone. But other things are getting upside extended. I shorted Apple today, which has turned into a pretty good day trade. It's like a day 9 to the upside, almost starting to go parabolic. A lot of extension here. Again, I'm super bullish on the market, so the shorts that I take, when I take them, I'm just kind of borrowing them real quick. But doing so has actually paid pretty well also. So there's money to be made on both sides. Find me the trade setup and let me buy it.
In other words, Derrick, you're asking for magic stock ideas.
Is that a reference that I don't get?
You were angry that I asked for the perfect magic stock ideas for you.
Oh.
Yeah. And now you're asking for them. So Derrick is on 1 week suspension. He'll be back in 2 weeks.
I don't provide the magic stock ideas. Sammy provides the magic stock ideas. I tell you the big picture on why all of his ideas are going to work.
All right.
I need to sign up for a service. Actually, I need to make a note.
Well, if you have some Bitcoin, we could sell it to you. Okay, so JR, you're still an Nvidia fan. I presume you're still bullish on this market overall.
Yeah.
What do you still like here?
I texted Derrick. He had what Princess Leia tells Han Solo, "I love you," and he goes, "I know." I had that moment with Derrick. I texted him on Sunday, "I effing love this market." He just texted me back, "I know." I think that's what he texted me. Anyways, look, the theme for me has been looking at these long accumulation bases with secondary leg breakouts. Unity was my main focus today. I feel like Derrick and I are like two dudes, one brain sometimes. So you had a prolonged downtrend here, a multi-month accumulation base, inverse head and shoulders breakout, P-shaped profile, face C shakeout here, like a spring, and then a platform and a secondary leg breakout. So I'm looking for these setups. I'm looking for real momentum out of multi-month or sometimes multi-year accumulation bases. And, on Sunday night when we did our watch list, I was looking for follow through on the weeklies. So Snowflake, inside bar breakout, this one is really overextended, but there's real momentum there. Netflix was like a day trade today, but CCJ, another one. I feel like the nuclear story isn't done. Looking for that recumulative breakout. Unity we took today. App, another one that people want to keep shorting. This monster, right? Came out of a multi-month accumulation base. It looked like it was going to give you a high tight flag, not even a chance. They just bought this with urgency. It looked like it was going parabolic, and they keep just trapping the shorts, taking this higher. Another trade idea from Sunday night. NET is another one, like coming out of a multi-month accumulation, just curling and breaking out. A-Lab, there are so many opportunities in this market. And like Derrick was saying, these no-name schmo stocks that I've never even heard of just exploding with volume. It just is such a strong bid in this market. If you're in the right daily rotation, you have to pay attention. You have to really pay attention and understand the theme and the narrative of the day, and just focus on that. And you really do well in this market. Our data dog, we foresaw or at least I was thinking, another like multi-month accumulation, right? Strong breakout of the neckline here. And, follow through this week again. Right. There's just so many of these square. We've been in this one for a while. The problem is
that I think that a lot of these, like, data dog you just pulled up, can't really buy this at 164 right now.
No, of course not. No.
Are all there. And that's what's making a great market. But that's almost even my problem right now when I'm trying to find an idea. It's like, well, Unity, I guess, was an idea for both of us. Well, that's gone. Path, well, that's gone. Datadog, well, that's gone. They got to reset up some of these patterns now at this point.
Yeah, well, that's why they're running so many of these laggards and no names. There's just a ton of FOMO and appetite for destruction, and that's why they're running all these schmo names, and that's usually the for me at least the sign that it's 4:00 in the morning. The rabbi at the bar mitzvah is getting kind of tipsy. It's time to wrap it up. It's a late stage, so you got to be careful.
Yeah, and that becomes a tricky part, because some of these signals I'm looking at, I get a little bit nervous when they start running every single stock, and when the Wall Street Bets people are talking about every altcoin and NFTs are coming back. But at the same time, the data that I'm looking at still tells me that this market is very bullish for the time being, and that, forced fund flows are forced fund flows. Corporate buybacks are going to happen whether the market's up, down, or sideways. And it's just a really strong underlying bid that's coming from what has been the biggest buyer of U.S. equities of the entire calendar year. So it's like, there's some of these warning signals out there when they're running everything, but also I'm not ready to come in and start shorting it yet. So we'll just take it one day at a time.
No, I'm talking about momentary pullbacks in the market. I think we're in a unique period of history. And again, I'm totally apolitical when it comes to trading, but I also have to recognize that for the first time since I think Grover Cleveland, the economy has had a direct AB type of Pepsi challenge between economies. And I think that the Trump victory is propelling a sort of optimism that that we probably haven't seen since Reagan's second term, and I think that's a really powerful force that can't be underestimated. I haven't seen optimism like this in a very long time in terms of the outlook for the economy. And I think we may see that reflected in trust. My S&P target is still 6,300.
And there's a lot of cash that's still out there that can still chase into this market. There's a lot of cash that's been sitting there and collecting that 4 or 5% interest rate that maybe is starting to say to themselves at a certain point, like, ooh, I thought I was doing a pretty good job collecting my 4 or 5% interest rate risk free, but I just missed out on a 30% market move over the course of this last year by being that safe. Maybe I'm making a mistake. Maybe I should be, getting a little bit more involved. So, it's an interesting time.
Yeah, for sure.
So the lesson today, when you're at the party, focus on having as much fun as possible, not on when it's time to leave. Unless you are the rabbi and it's 4 a.m.
Yeah. Beware of tipsy rabbis.
It's an important lesson. And what's the other one? Gas station sushi.
Always.
Okay, guys. All right. So I'm going to apologize personally for the disorganization of today's show. I'm kind of a mess today. But let us know. Should we come back next week? Yes or no? Let us know in the chat. Should we do this again? I might have to suspend myself. My performance was so bad today. But no, we will be back next week, hopefully. So
Hopefully we at least serve to entertain.
all right.
Yep.
Thank you, guys. Everybody's giving us yeses in the chat.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Take care,
And be
fellas.
nice.
Be nice.
Stop being so rude. Some of you people have real attitudes. We're not going to be dealing with that anymore. All right, everybody. Have a wonderful day. Go make some more money.